It's another episode of NRG Insights. And if you haven't listened before, so this is the podcast that we speak to people of influence in the mortgage market, whether that be lenders or brokers or partners or anyone with anything useful to say. And we get their insights into the market and obviously the challenges and wins that they've had to hopefully to add some value to the broker and the lending world. If you can build an office of 200 people, that's a really impressive business, right? There's not hundreds of businesses that have that kind of level of staff and retention and that kind of thing. What do you think the difference maker is with people like your bosses that can do that? You know, that aren't stunted at the 10-person growth or aren't stunted at the 20-person growth. Yeah. What do you think the difference maker is that people will follow them?
Well, I think given their journey, you know, they had to take a lot of risks. You know, some things didn't work and some things really worked, and they were lucky at stages as well. You know, when they were first starting out, they had a fund, and high net worth investors were investing into that fund for properties in and around London.
Yeah.
And that's how they got going. And it's only when you've built that book up that you then go onto your next sort of fundraising journey. And I think, as I say, it's that entrepreneurial, that drive and taking risks, because risks do really equal growth. If you don't take the risks and you sort of sit there, you can just carry on. You know, we could have carried on and just been a really good bridging lender, because you know, we are really good at it. But you know, you want to, you know, their dream was to disrupt the market, implement technology, but not only implement it, build it in-house. You know, at one stage when we were at 30 people, a third of the business were engineers, and you know, they're extremely different characters to people we work with in the finance industry, which was nice, right? Because you've got, you know, different people. But at the time, you know, we're competing to get really good engineers. You've got the likes of Google, Facebook, all these cool
all around the corner.
Come work with us. We're going to build a portal or an online platform.
Exciting.
Yeah.
But you have to get them to buy into your journey, right? Same as you do a salesperson, same as you do an underwriter, you know, your credit analyst, whatever it is. They've got to buy into that vision, haven't they?
Well, and talking of culture, you know, that is one thing that we've driven from the outset. You know, culture is absolutely crucial, and it still is. And you needed people at the time that were excited, believed, wanted to roll their sleeves up, do a bit of everything. You know, had some crazy ideas, needed it to be successful to grow to where they wanted it to be. And we tried to keep that culture as well, navigating.
That was going to be my question, actually, because obviously going from 3 to 200 people, it's so hard to maintain any small business culture. I don't know. Hard. I mean, how do you maintain that? Because obviously there's a lot more characters. There's you know, they're very different people in there. I know you've all got, and we all believe in you know, buying into the vision of the owners and that kind of thing. But it's very, very different when you have to do it. Especially, I mean, we're up to the 10-person stage. And even couldn't imagine how you get as many people to love the business as you do at 20. So at 200, it blows my mind how you can keep them all in that same culture. You know, the culture that made you so successful at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely, and especially when we have an office in Glasgow, you've got, you know, double whammy there. You've got to make sure you've got the culture across two offices. But when you started going from 10, 20, 50, that mark was probably harder than what it is now, because when you're at a company of 200, you know, within your teams and the company direction, you know, it's a bit more corporate, and you buy into that. Whereas when you're
how did you cope with that, going from a 3-man into a corporate? Was it just was it organic, or did you one day go, God, we're a machine now?
Yeah, it was organic. I think the one thing for me that I probably found the hardest throughout is because I'd had such a variety of roles. The bigger that you get, you have to go in one direction. You know, I can't dabble. I can't do a bit of that, bit of this. You know, you can't be what's this phrase, master of everything.
Yeah, jack of all trades. You can't.
So you have to go down it. And I knew that I always wanted to stay fortunate, you know, in that short-term lending space. So I've flicked between bridging and development finance, but, you know, we work very closely together anyway, because you've got the whole transition of products anyway. But yeah, I guess it was letting go of tasks, focusing on one, and then building your own team.
Do we still need to be having those conversations in regards to getting more women in financial services, or even the not being equal when it comes to salaries and promotions and that kind of thing. Do you think it's still a poignant point?
Yeah, I mean, we have mentioned about this, have we? And, is the conversation fatigued, and, do we still need to have it? But just the fact that you feel uncomfortable means we still need to have it. We need to get to a point where,
from a privileged point of view, though, as opposed to like I don't want to have the conversation. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's
but it's all about
people moan about being poor.
No, but it's about equity and equality, isn't it? And it's about everybody feeling included. And we don't want to get to the point where, 40-year-old white men are starting to feel excluded because all the emphasis is on, women and diversity and gender and everything else.
If we
no.
say
No, but I mean, going back to your one point, has it changed? I mean, it's massively changed since I joined the industry. So I originally left my first role because I'd applied for a management trainee position there, and they said, why bother? You'll be married with kids by the time you're, well, in a few years or whatever.
That's nuts now, isn't it? I suppose that's how it's
Oh, absolutely. When I took my first job in the city, women weren't allowed to wear trousers, which again, you just can't even imagine that was a thing. So there's been huge strides forward. I mean, I suppose in the early days, it was difficult in some ways, but I suppose perhaps it's just me. I just didn't let it bother me. So I'd go, to meetings. I'd be the only female around the table. I'd go to lots of sporting events, which, was just me and a load of other men. And, it was just something that I did, and I didn't really think too much about it, apart from when I started watching Top Gear every week, just so that I could join in the conversation the next day, because if I hadn't watched it, I would have been definitely excluded. So I think you just have to have a bit of a tough exterior and you just get on with it. And I suppose not until people started talking about it that you actually thought, oh, it was a problem.
Do you know, I was going to say that. Did you not even notice until it was brought up? Because you've always been, because I understand if you can't get into the industry.
I noticed it.
Strong women who have been in the industry who are like, I don't really want to talk about it because I'm a great CEO, I'm a great MD, I'm a great BDM. I'm not a great female CEO, I'm not a great female MD. So that, I think if you've been in it a long time, you just didn't acknowledge it. It was just like you had to work hard, and that was it. I don't know if it's I don't know.
I did know about it, but I just sort of accepted it as the norm. I didn't really think that it was going to be any different, or I just thought that's how it is. Finance is a male-dominated industry. I've chosen to come into it, so I have to accept it's male-dominated. I didn't really think. I just thought that's the way it is. I mean, I had one role where earlier on in my career, and they'd sold the business to a different owner, and the new owners came in, and I got called into the office. I was 25. I had about 35 staff under me, ran the whole ops area. Then there was two other heads of one. Marketing had one staff, and then there was a customer services manager who had about 6 staff. And I got called into the office, and they said that they were going to increase my salary and give me a company car and give me some other benefits so that I was more in line with the other two. And that's the first time the other two were men. And I hadn't even, do you know what I mean? Didn't even realise that perhaps they had all these benefits and I didn't. So that was my first experience of the gender gap. And I didn't. And they gave me a very generous pay rise, but they said they couldn't do any more than that because it would have been too out of line. Just to bring me in line. And like I say, they didn't bring me in line with them, but they got me a lot closer because that's all they could do. I think you just thought that as a woman, you just had to work a bit harder, and you had to be, you had to be better because it was tougher.
How do we do that? And also, how do we teach kids that actually don't put your delivery on Klarna? How do we teach them actually the importance of saving and the value of that, and what does the CCJ mean, and all those silly mistakes we see so many first-time buyers in particular making? If we can teach them at school that they don't need to make those, and actually don't go and miss a payment on XYZ, then hopefully we can help people get onto the ladder in a much better way, and that benefits all of us, whether they're buying new build or second hand or in London or wherever. All of our companies are going to benefit.
It's true. It's that first time buyer education that props up the market, right? The more of those that start in the market, that's how the market gets better. Especially for you guys. I mean, obviously, we'll go through what you do as a business, but your new build, right? That's your speciality. It has been for decades. So you need these guys on the market, don't you? You need the market to move.
Absolutely. And we're at the forefront. So what generally tends to happen is the new build market slows and picks up faster than the second hand market. So we tend to be the people who are always there at the start of the market. So COVID, we were hit the hardest, but then we were the first back open and things like that. And so first time buyers, actually, a lot of them now, particularly because they're more green conscious, they're more aware of the impact of their housing, they're looking into sustainability, they want the new technologies and things in their homes. Actually, those people are probably going to more and more start their journey with us as a new build provider before they continue their housing journey to buying second hand stock, when they can afford to probably renovate and refurb up to the standard they would want, is my suggestion.
So I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's the most important part of the market. Whether we work in the high net worth market and lots in between, but actually the first time buyer, the new build, that kind of thing is the barometer, isn't it, of how we're gonna get on.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you see it? How do you see it coming? Obviously, new build, like you say, gets hit hard when it gets hit, and then it bounces back when you're kind of the first. How do you see the market changing at the moment? How's it? Or have you got through the challenges recently?
So challenges recently has been an interesting one. I think...
Especially, by the way, sorry, I keep jumping in, but especially because you've made no redundancies. So that's really impressive, because the easiest way to fix the balance sheet, unfortunately, is to save on salary. And I actually think, but if you work out how much people spend on rehiring, retraining, paying me, all the things that cost, if you can hang on for those few tricky months, it's you guys would have saved a fortune in the rehiring process. It's massive. And also retention, because no one gets up to speed in 6 months, right? Everyone takes 12 months. So you're 18 months in front of someone because you kept someone.
And they're hungrier for it because of that, because they see that you aren't hiring on a whim and you're not getting rid of on a whim and things like that. Actually, you earn a level of respect, I think, and trust. And that enables people to really come to work and be comfortable, so they perform at their best. Because if they actually feel they're safe in a job and it doesn't matter what's going to happen, we're going to do our very, very best to get you through that, then you're more able to focus on the important things, aren't you? Like actual leads and writing business, instead of sort of having a quick look on Indeed or whatever it may be to sort of make sure you've got all your options covered.
So to be named as one of the most elite women in the UK finance industry is huge.
It is when you look at your peers that have got that, right? That's massive.
I've honestly, we go, I will all, I'll mention her name again. She would hate that I mention it, but Alex, I've always aspired. If you said to me, who do you want to be like, or be on the same, Alex, she's phenomenal as a leader and as someone that's really strong as a female in this industry. So we talk about women in financial services, and I think it's getting better. I think sometimes we feel like imposters. I felt like an imposter on Monday when I when I found out that I'd been named on the B&C Power List. I kind of, when you sit there and you want to put a post out on LinkedIn and you think,
how am I going to word it?
Yeah, how do I word this? And then you start.
It's a proud moment. It should be a proud moment. I don't know whether you're female or male for that. I think everyone kind of feels a bit like, people are talking about you. This in a positive light. None of us are big-headed enough to just take it on board and go, great. I probably could, but
no,
I don't know.
But it was.
That's why I've never won an award.
I think, it was, and obviously I put the announcement out. It's very overwhelming. So we're obviously going out with this announcement now. It does make me think, oh God, there's a lot going on.
Does it make you feel like you have to step up? But you kind of already stepped up because you've got the recognition for it. Is there a bit more of a weight on your shoulders with like the Power List and the Elite Awards and that kind of thing? Do you feel that, or is it just another?
I don't think it will change me as a person.
Mm.
I think it will probably open some doors in terms of being on panels, etc., and just get my profile a little bit more out there. But in terms of anything else, no, I don't. I don't. It won't. I honestly don't believe I'll ever change as a person.
Yeah.
In time, I will never lose that humble grounding. Honestly, there were points. I even sent Alex a message that evening. I was like, I'm overwhelmed by the response. And I'm still so humble about that. I will never change that.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's still amazing. It's still nice stuff. It's great.
Yeah,
it's recognition, isn't it?
Huge, yeah.
I've always said that about awards. I said I'll never do any recruitment awards because I'm financial services. I don't think of myself as recruitment. But actually, getting recognition from your peers is important. It's to show that you're really good at what you do, and they understand it. They understand how hard your job is.
Yeah, I think the worst is when you actually go for an award and you sit there and you don't win it. And I've been on the receiving end of that.
That's probably why I actually don't go for awards.
I know, it's a real
like
it is a bit of a it is a bit of a blow, and you're kind of sitting there and you're waiting and then it gets yours and it's like, oh.
And people are looking at your reaction as well.
Because everyone's waiting for you.
You're looking, going, that's rubbish.
That did happen to me once. I went up to him at the end of the evening and I shook his hand and congratulated him. And he kind of looked at me as if to say, who the hell are you? And I thought, wow. Wow. Thumbs up. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Cheers, mate. I was in the same category, yeah.
So women in finance.
Is it a thing? I know and again, we've had this conversation, and I always feel uncomfortable doing it because, like I said before, I'm a white, straight, middle-aged man talking about ED&I. It just seems like bullshit. But I do get it. Like, we've got to talk about it. But it's a fine line between talking about it and then separating it. Like, you're a great leader. I never talk about you as a great female leader. Like, we don't talk about Alex as a great female role model. She's a great role model.
No. Yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. I've seen it very differently recently. So I spoke to I was on the phone to Mia House recently. I adore her. She's
my neck of the woods, Southampton.
She's great. She really is. And she sees it from a different side. She sees it more from just be authentic. You don't have to label it. I think sometimes we females feel that we can't be authentic. We can't be. She was talking about the masculine and the feminine energy. Yeah. And just, you can kind of be in between. You don't have to be too assertive. You don't have to be too aggressive. But if you're successful, it's irrelevant in terms of your gender. I don't hire people because they're female or male. I do try, when I recruit, I try and get an even split.
Yeah, but is that for the cultural or non-high thinking? Because I'm struggling with the even split at the moment. As you know, we're 90% female, but that isn't because I'm high. That isn't because I hire females. It's because I hire the best people for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
And I haven't found, and whoever we've interviewed, and we'll interview everyone, it's just they've come up top, and they prove that with how successful they are. So it's kind of a, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type situation. But
I would say I recruit 50-50. I like to have an even balance within the team, not because it fits within any culture, not because it fits within a tick box, just because I think it runs better.